Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Olalu Oganyemi, and I'm very excited to share what is probably one of my favorite projects because I had the opportunity to talk to my son on camera. He agreed to discuss this very important time in his life where he actually did not make the junior high basketball team. It's a strange thing to interview him about, but I think it's important because a lot of our middle school boys are going through this same thing, and really it extends beyond middle school to high school and all the way through college, and really we're talking about rejection in life. And so I want you to enjoy this interview. It's really a short interview when it comes to the topic, but I'll drop in some tips and things that I've learned as a parent from this situation and things that he learned, of course, as the sixth grader who's going through this thing. We're going to talk about why he was afraid to cry in public. We're going to talk about things that he learned through this tryout and failure. And we're going to talk about things that he feels like he could have done better and things that he feels like that he could grow from. And we're even going to talk about things that he, as a 12-year-old, is telling 35-year-old him in the future. So guys, I want you to dive in, enjoy it, leave a comment, talk about these things. This is an important discussion that we need to have, because I believe that all of us parents can learn from moments like this when we're trying to lead our children the best way possible. So I'm excited. We're going to have some fun. I'm not a professional barber, so please take it easy on me in the comments. But I want you to enjoy the interview and really, really, really dive in deep into what we're discussing here. Enjoy. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Big Head Jacob. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the turd, aka Jacob. So let's start off with, who is your favorite football team?
My favorite football team is the Minnesota Vikings.
Ugh.
You like the Saints.
The Saints are obviously a better team.
No, they're not.
Yeah. If you were to watch the Saints game and watch the Vikings at the end of this season, clearly the Saints had the pizzazz. They had that new thing going with them. That's like,
nope,
yeah,
they suck.
No, yeah. You only like the Vikings for one reason. You've never even been close to Minnesota in your life. So why do you like the Vikings?
Because of Justin Jefferson.
Because of Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's good. He's a beast. I'll give him his credit. But I ain't got nothing on the Saints. I'm picking out a bunch of lint. I need to start wearing a mask in here. So let's see. What are we talking about today? Good answer. Phenomenal answer. You killed it. You killed it. Cut. We got everything we need, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk about recent events. So word on the street is you tried out for the the junior high basketball team.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. What was that basketball tryout like?
The first day we did shooting drills to see. I think he did that to see who can shoot and stuff. And then on the second day, we did running and shooting. And then I didn't make it to the third day though.
So tell me about that. What do you think about your performance during the first 2 days?
I think it was pretty good. But I had some mistakes I could fix.
Like what?
I was being kind of slow in the conditioning drills.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by slow? Like last one in?
No, there's definitely a lot more people last.
Okay. Then what? What do you mean slow? In comparison.
I feel like my knee slowed me down.
Your knee?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're battling some kind of knee soreness or injury here. What's going on with your knee?
I don't know if it's growing pains or that I just injured it.
How's it feel? I mean, we did a pretty good workout today. How'd your knee feel during the workout?
It didn't feel too bad.
Okay. All right, so basketball. Back to the tryout. So you had your shooting day. You had your running day, or your shooting and dribbling day.
did you do to prepare for this basketball tryout?
Something I did to prepare for this basketball tryout is I went to the gym. Went to the gym and I shot up some shots and like ran at the ran out the gym to
Nice.
practice.
Okay. How long do you think you say you prepared for tryouts?
Can you repeat that?
How long would you say that you tried like prepare for this tryouts? Like you knew they were coming. Like when did you find out about it? When did you start preparing for it? Like how long would you say that you had to work for it, and how long would you say that you did work for it?
I think I had like a month to work on it,
Okay.
and then I worked on it for like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So all you did, by what you're saying, the only thing you did to prepare was to go to the gym, shoot up some shots, do some running. Anything else? What about at home? You do anything at home?
I have this silent basketball that I can dribble around.
Okay. Silent basketball. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so you practice that to practice on your dribbling while indoors.
Yes, sir.
And then what about outdoors? Anything you do outdoors to prepare?
I have a basketball hoop outside that I can shoot some shots up on.
Okay. So about how many hours do you think you put in, like per day, preparing for this tryout?
I think I put in like an hour per day.
An hour per day, and that was about 3 weeks prior. But that's
Yes,
only
sir.
an hour per day of going to the gym. But you're talking about not counting the time that you had dribbling the silent ball or being outside before you found out about tryouts. It's a lot of work to put in, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So tell me about that. Why were you putting in that work? What made you? What was the drive factor, the motivation to put in that kind of work?
Well, I really wanted to make the basketball team because I love the sport.
Okay. So your motivation was to make the team.
Yes, sir.
But you already told me that you did not make the team.
That's right.
Okay. So tell me about that. You found out you didn't make the team. How many people tried out?
80.
80 people tried out. That's a lot. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a basketball tryout where 80 people showed up. So that's already a lot. But in any case, just curious. All right. So 80 people show up. And after day 2, how many people got cut?
35.
35 got cut, and you were one of the 35 that got cut.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me about that experience. So when you said you found out, how did you find out that you didn't make the team?
There's this paper that had our name, our like numbers on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it went in numerical order, so we can check it. And then I looked down the list and my number was on there.
So you're saying that you looked on this list. How many times you check it? Because I imagine that, if I had a list with my name on it, I'm looking for Ogunyemi, it's not hard to find. If I'm looking for a list with my number on it, like I would probably be like looking over and over just to verify. How many times do you think you looked at that list before you finally said, all right, nah, I didn't make it?
About 5 times.
About 5 times. Okay. Was a lot of people out there when you all look checking the list at the same time?
No, sir. I went with 2 of my other friends that tried out.
Did they make it?
No, sir.
All 6th graders?
No 6th grader made it.
No 6th grader made it.
No, sir.
Okay. And your 2 friends that you went with, they were in 6th grade too?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So no 6th graders made the team. But that's sort of in keeping in line with what your coach said in the first place, right? What did he tell you?
He said that it's tough for 6th graders and that they're probably not gonna make the team.
Yeah. But even so, you went out there because you wanted to make the team.
Yes,
You
sir.
wanted to prove the coach wrong. Tell me about that. Why would you still go try out for a team when the coach said you probably are not going to make it?
Because what the coach was focusing on was height. What he really needed to focus on was heart.
Hmm. And you felt like that you were going out there and show the coach your heart,
Yes, sir.
get the height, show the heart, and that you can outshine any seventh or eighth grader out there. That's
Yes,
your
sir.
mentality. Okay. Okay. So when you found your name not on that list, coach told you it's not going to be on there. You said, "Well, I'm about to prove this coach wrong." You went out, you did your best. You admitted that you made some mistakes, but for the most part, you think you did a pretty decent job. Now you see your name's not on the list. Walk me through those emotions. You're standing there with your two friends. None of you have made the list. Now you have to talk about that. So, well, tell me about that. Those emotions in that moment.
I was I was feeling down.
Mm.
Also at tryouts, I was like getting down on myself if I like made a mistake.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Like if I like miss a few shots in a row,
Mm-hmm.
I like get down on myself.
Okay, so you miss a few shots in a row. You get down on yourself, and then you decide, okay, you know what? How did that impact your performance? Just out of curiosity, before I answer the next question.
That how it impacted my performance. It was like it had like a pretty big effect on my performance
Oh, really?
because because of when I got in my emotions, I started doing more things wrong.
Oh, okay, okay, that's good to know. So one of the things that you said just now is that after practice, you make a mistake, you're getting your feelings a little bit, getting your emotions, and I'll ask you what that means in a minute. But that will be distracting you from what happened. What do you mean by getting your emotions or getting your feelings? For those who may be watching and like, what does that even mean to get in your feelings?
To like you're like in your own head. Like sometimes you're like mad at yourself
And why is that distracting? How is that distracting from playing or practicing or whatever you were doing?
because when you or someone's in your head, it makes it harder to play.
How so?
When you're in your own head, it makes you feel like you're worse than you are. And when someone else is in your head, it makes you feel like you're worse than them.
So let's go on beyond that. Now you've seen the roster. Now you know what the deal is. And now you come home. Talk to me through after you see the roster and you're headed home. Let's talk about those emotions. Same day. Put us in Jacob's shoes. Go. What was
I,
it like?
I tried to hold in my tears until I got home
Why is that?
because I didn't want people at school to see me crying
Why is that?
because it's kind of embarrassing
Embarrassing. Embarrassing to cry?
to like cry in front of other people
Oh, okay. Why you say that? Why do you think it's embarrassing to cry? In your opinion, why would it be embarrassing to cry?
because some people make fun of other people for doing it.
Let's dive into that. I want to hear your thoughts. Why do you think people make fun of others for crying in public? What is that? I'm just curious. I have my own opinions on that, but I want to hear yours.
Because it makes them feel because it makes you look like you're weak.
Oh, so crying. Let me get a clarification on what you're saying. So you're saying that you believe that crying in public makes you look weak, or crying period makes you look weak.
Kind of both.
Kind of both. Okay. So let's explore that a little bit. What makes you say that, or what makes you feel that way? Who did you say that? Like, what would you think that motivation came from, or that idea came from? That crying in general would make you weak. Like, what would be the thought process, or is there a certain person that cries and makes looks weaker, or is there like what is the talk to me? I want to understand this a little bit more. I want to pull the thread on that.
There's there's not like a certain person that that cries and looks weak.
It's not a certain person that looks weak. So I'll ask another question then. Where did that idea come from? What do you think? If you wanted to say that somebody, if you were to say, try to trace that idea back to, if somebody said they look weak, somebody's crying and they look weak, what would you say that idea came from?
On like social media and stuff, saying that it makes you like look weak.
Okay. Now, I asked you where you thought you got that. We thought you got that from, or where that it originated. So you said social media and places like that. What do you think about it? Like, what are your personal thoughts?
I think anyone can cry. Really.
Anyone can cry. Okay. Anyone can cry. I get that, but what about the perception of them being weak or strong? What do you think?
I think it really doesn't matter.
You don't think it matters.
Mm-hmm.
So full circle, you decided not to cry in public because you didn't want to think people thought you were weak. But then you said you don't think it matters. So you're saying you don't think it matters, but their perception still mattered in that moment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so let's walk through it then. So you got home, you decided, hey man, I'm not gonna cry in public because I don't want people making fun of me. And then comes all right, now I'm home. Now talk to us about that. What was that like?
I felt more comfortable crying at home than I did at school.
Okay. And so then you cried.
Yes, sir.
And so now you laid at home, you felt okay to cry. And what did you feel after that? Like, what was the crying? What did crying do or not do?
It helped me just let it out.
Okay.
Like,
go ahead.
It helped me like feel better.
It helped you feel better. Really? So crying, the thing that you couldn't do in public, is actually the thing that helped you feel better. How did it make you feel better? What do you mean by that?
It made me feel better because I could actually let my emotions out then.
You let your emotions out.
Mm-hmm. Because I've been just holding them all day.
Uh-huh. So you weren't expressing your emotions because you felt like you weren't safe to do so. But when you got home, you felt safe to let your emotions out. You let them out. Then what? Now your emotions are out, but you still didn't make the team. So what did that do? Like, how did crying and letting your emotions out actually help at all? Because it didn't change the situation, right? Did the coach call you and say, all right, just kidding, you're on the team now?
No, sir.
Okay. So how did that help?
After I was done crying,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I can have other sports I can play.
Okay. So you realized that this wasn't the end. This is just a temporary setback.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me about it. Let's talk about that. Why did you all of a sudden realize that after all this time? Because you knew you could play other sports before, but you were focused on basketball. Not to say that you didn't play any other sport during this time, but you just said it's your focus. But now you said, okay, well, now I can move on beyond this tryout and say I can just try something else. How did you get there? Because people don't naturally just say, oh, I'm just gonna stop. Now I'm crying. Now I finished my tears. Now I can focus on something else. I can be happy and just move on to something else and try something different. That's a skill. And so now we want to know, how did you do that? How were you able to just say, okay, well, now that I've released my emotions, or at least the negative emotions with this, now it's time for me to move on to the next thing. How? How did you accomplish that?
I realized that in life you're not gonna always get what you want.
Interesting. One thing I recognize, and I think it's important to point out, is not once, aside from saying that the coach was focused on height, the only other thing that you said is you didn't do your best. And sometimes, in some things, you made some mistakes, you got in your own head. A lot of things that I'm hearing seem like they have nothing to do with anybody else. and have everything to do with you. Am I reading that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, really, one of your biggest things that you're discussing here is about accountability and ownership of the things that you control. So you're saying that you just basically did your best, control what you can control. When you didn't make the team, it was disappointing. Didn't change anything that you still want to play. Probably do you still want to play?
I still want to play, but I know that I have more opportunities to like try out and like next year and stuff.
Okay. So you still want to play. Obviously, your desire to play didn't go away, which is
Yes, sir.
a key point here. Because if it was one thing that's like, oh yeah, well, I don't care about the sport anymore, I just moved on. That's one thing. But again, this is an important factor here because what we're discussing is somebody's ability to move beyond the initial shock or the initial heartbreak to actually moving on to something else. And that's really what we're trying to figure out here. Trying to break, you know. And I think one of the things that we're talking about that's really key here is being able to just say, all right, I'm not going to blame the coach. Yes, we believe that he recruited, or you said that he was recruiting for height, not heart. Okay. But you also said that, there's some mistakes I made. Some things I could have done better. There's some things I got in my own head. And I think that's important to you, that accountability and ownership and not passing blame on somebody else, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you think that would be like? Yeah, you know what? Let's just talk to somebody out there. Because there's somebody out there who's a sixth grader who didn't make the team, maybe a seventh grader, eighth grader, all the way through college. There's adults that didn't get the job. There's always something that's disappointing. So let's talk through that. What can they learn from that kind of situation of not achieving their goals? What are some tips? What would you say some good tips are for them?
Some tips are to realize what you did wrong, fix that mistake, and then try it again.
So what if they said, I didn't do anything wrong? Like I did everything right. I remember the interview. The interview was great. I remember the way that everything was working out. And I did perfect. What if they told you that? Then what?
I don't think I would believe them because everyone makes mistakes.
Okay. Everyone makes mistakes, huh? So you own up to your mistakes. You, let's say, develop a plan to figure out how you're going to get better in the future. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you work on it to make sure you can do better. All right, then what? What do you think?
And then you can go and then you can try it again if there's another opportunity.
Try it again if there's another opportunity. What if there's not an opportunity? What if that was like the last basketball tryout for a senior? Then what?
Then you don't always have to get like what you want because God always has a plan for you.
Oh wow. Okay. That's good. So tell me this. What if there's somebody out there who's thinking, you know what, I'm actually a little bit more disappointed because I feel like that coach did me wrong. Or that boss, that hiring manager, whoever it was, did me wrong. Now I know for a fact that I was better than 50% of the team. But yet, somehow, they made the team. I didn't. Come on, man, I'm your best friend. I just didn't make the team. I'm with you. I was on that same tryout. I'd be like, hey, that coach is racist. He don't like us. He just didn't want a bunch of black boys on his team. What would you tell him? What would you say to that person?
I think they would need to be like humbled.
Oh, okay. And what do you mean by that?
Like they need to have like a humble attitude and like because I know there's a reason why he didn't pick some people.
Okay. And that reason is really in that coach's mind, right?
Yes, sir.
I think a lot of times, my opinion in this is that a lot of times I think we make the assumption that a person doesn't want us or rejects us for personal reasons, But in some cases, it's not really that personal. Maybe it's a professional reason. Maybe you weren't the best person for the job. Perhaps you weren't the best of the 15 of 80. Maybe you were. Maybe that coach needed height. Maybe he needed rebounders. Maybe, who knows? The list of things. But one thing I found is that many times we tend to try to figure out what people's motivations are. And many times we're wrong. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the problems with trying to assume that somebody else's motivation. Because when you're trying to assume somebody else's motive behind something, I think you tend to make a mistake. What's next? What's next in Jacob's world? Because now we're learning. We're learning from Jacob, the master trainer, the coach. Tell us, teach us.
You can see if there's like another opportunity. If there's not, you can try something new.
Try something new. In your opinion, what's the purpose of trying something new? Like, what's the benefit of that?
The benefit of trying something new is most of the times it's like say you came from football to basketball. You already have the speed and explosiveness. So it fits well in basketball.
Okay. So really it's like a skills audit to see what you're good at. And then just trying it.
Yes, sir.
So what would you say for somebody who's scared to try something new? Like say now I'm your friend and I'm like, yeah, but I've been practicing basketball for, 11 years. When I was 1 year old, I started playing, of course. Now, how do I start trying something new? I'm scared. What now? What would you tell me?
You should work on the sport first before you try joining a team and stuff.
Okay, so you should work on the sport first. But I'm still scared to try out. I mean, I failed the last time, so why should I try something new? That's scary. Right? Is that not scary?
It is scary.
Okay.
But sometimes different sports are made for you.
Okay. I get it. But what if I don't make the next sport? I try out for hockey, and the coach is like, heck no, bro, you're too little. Then what? Now, how do I get past that? Because now I've tried 2 sports, and I didn't pass. I'm listening to Jacob, and Jacob got me out there trying all these sports, and I ain't making the team. I need some truth. What do I do?
You can keep practicing until you make it.
Okay. So I just try over and 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 over. When do I stop?
You stop when there's no more tryouts left.
Oh, so when there's no, so I just keep going and going and going until they say we no longer are going to try out any other sport or any other thing in this world. In other words, you're telling me I just need to keep going.
Yes, sir.
That sounds like what you're saying. Because obviously they're going to keep doing tryouts. Man, how do I motivate myself every time? If you know there's a chance that you'll fail, how do you motivate yourself to go keep going? From Jacob's opinion.
Tell yourself good words.
Like what? What do you say to pump yourself up?
You got this.
Okay. So, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Because this is your first tryout. First thing that you ever tried out for that you never made. And when you were making mistakes out there and you immediately got in your own head, what did you say to yourself to motivate yourself to keep going?
I told myself that it was just a mistake and that I can fix it.
Okay. Really? And how did that go?
I started getting out of my head and I started making more shots and stuff.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So talking to yourself actually works. So this isn't just like some mess you heard online on YouTube and now you're just kind of trying to regurgitate to me. It actually works.
Yes, sir.
Out of all the things that we talked about, clearly you're in 6th grade, right?
Yes, sir.
What would you say you can actually learn from this? Like all the things we talked about, like what's this? What do you think is a lifelong lesson? Because a lot of times when I'm doing podcasts, people ask me, like, what's something that you would tell yourself? What would you tell 12-year-old Olalu? And I come up with some answer. But this is your chance. What would you tell 35-year-old Jacob?
In life, you're not gonna always get what you want, so you gotta just keep pushing and trying. And if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Okay. Anything else I didn't ask that we need to add to this?
Something I can learn is like I gotta practice them, and I gotta work on them to get them better. So next year I'll be bigger, stronger, and faster.
Nice. All right. Well, look in the camera. Tell them who you are.
I'm Jacob Oganyemi. Signing out.
Thanks, folks.